Welcome to Unraveled and Rewritten. I'm your host, Joanne Beauvoir. Whether you're navigating change, rediscovering yourself, or seeking clarity on your next chapter, this podcast will remind you that your growth often begins where certainty ends. Because when life unravels, you have the power to rewrite what comes next. And so I'm going to pick up on this episode where I left off last week. So in this episode, we're going to explore how in the middle of the undoing, you can ground yourself in something that will actually be your why for moving forward. And it's a simple thing, only 3 letters in this word, and that thing is joy. And you're probably going, wait, what? Like in the middle of my undoing, in the middle of my season of unraveling, and if you missed episode 1, I go into what is the season of unraveling, but how in the middle of an unexpected pivot in my life that has left me feeling completely undone, do I even begin to feel any kind of joy? How can I find joy when in the unraveling, we feel heavy, vulnerable, and sometimes exposed, rudderless, right? Like the very thing that may have been what was guiding you all along is now gone. So you are without, or you feel like you are without direction. I'm going to share with you how using joy as an instrument to rewrite your story will actually allow you to find a new North Star. Okay? It's about writing the next chapter and looking at the undoing as that opportunity. And that's hard to do if you feel diametrically opposed to feeling joyful. So before we get into how to use joy, I want to break down something really simple, the difference between joy and happiness, or joy versus happiness, because joy is not a feeling. Happiness refers to pleasurable feelings, emotions. Happiness is the thing that is very impacted by your surroundings, your situations, your circumstances. I could be happy at 9 a.m., something happens, and by 10:30, I'm not happy anymore. Okay? Anybody? Does that resonate with anybody? Happiness is fleeting. It moves with circumstances, external things that we experience, we react to, we respond to. On the other hand, joy is a state of mind. It is something that you are able to cultivate from within. It is not based on circumstances or situations, or even experiences. It is the thing that you can hold on to regardless of what is happening externally, because you are rooting yourself in a state of mind, in something that comes internally. So how do you find joy? Well, I'm going to share with you 4 things that will help you to cultivate and find joy even when it doesn't feel like that's something that you deserve, in the middle of your undoing, would even think to find. And let me pause for a minute. That is why it's so important for you to find your joy not in moments of crisis, but in almost the passive, quiet moments when we should be thinking about cultivating joy, so that we can easily access it when there is crisis, when there is urgency, when we are in the middle of a season of unraveling. So take your pen out, write it down, use your instrument, whatever that might be, your device, and let's start with number 1, letting go of the past. How many of us have held on to memories, grudges, negative emotions and feelings that have blocked our ability to access joy? Sometimes it's not even a feeling. Sometimes it's a decision. Maybe you chose a career route that didn't work for you. You were miserable in it, and you've now made a pivot, but you think about that. You think about, this is the way you might frame it, years wasted. I can't believe I spent all that time on that job or in that relationship. Fill in the blank. But to find joy requires us to let go of the past. You cannot move forward unless you let go of the past. I don't know if anyone has ever heard of the Sankofa bird. It's part of African story, mythological bird whose feet face forward and its head looks back, but it is moving forward, and it takes what it learned in the past in order to move forward. So if it is something that you're like, oh, I don't want to throw away the past, I'm not saying throw away the past, but how can we let go, release the past, take with us the things that we can learn from the past to move forward so that we can access joy? I want you to do an experiment right now. Think of something in the past, and I want you to project a good memory to that. This is how I want you to start thinking about the past. Like, what about what happened can I remember that will help me find joy? And that requires us to use our senses, any one of our 5 senses. So let me use an example. My dog, and you see this one back here, that's a puppy running around, running amok while I try to get this done. But my sweet Layla was 15 years old when we had to put her down. Although that memory of loss of this amazing pet furry baby of mine does bring sad emotions, I'm able to cultivate joy from something that happened in the past when I activate one of my senses when I think about Layla, and that is the sense of touch. There was something about touching Layla's fur, whether it was burying my face in her fur or touching it at the end of a long day, that would completely relax my body. It would release any tension or anxiety that I had, and it would bring me an immense amount of joy. So that's number 1, letting go of the past, reminding ourselves what we might have learned from the past, and even activating one of our senses to cultivate a sense of joy from something in the past. Okay? Number 2, practice gratitude. Studies have shown that when you move into a space of gratitude, something happens to our chemical makeup in our own bodies. Our mind is stimulated in a different way. Our body feels a different way when we move into a space of gratitude. So keeping a gratitude journal or moving through your day, actually looking for the things that you should and could be thankful for. That will bring you a sense of joy. Number 3, surround yourself with positive people. I'm going to put myself on your list, okay? I'm going to assume that because you are listening to this, you are looking for positivity, motivation, and inspiration, okay? That's accessing that, surrounding yourself digitally with that. But also consider the circles that you keep, the people whose company you keep. Make sure that those are positive people. I'm not going to lie. After my season of unraveling, there was a little bit of purging that happened with relationships. Like, it was necessary for me in that moment for me to surround myself with positive people. In my undoing, in rewriting my next chapter, I needed people that were like, for Joanne, cheering me on, inspiring me, motivating me to keep moving forward, to go into that what next without fear, but with support, with joy, with excitement, to rewrite your narrative, to rewrite your story. It's going to be really necessary that you are surrounded by people who get that, who understand that. Number 4, create daily rituals. What are you doing every day that you really feel good about, that makes you feel grounded in who you are and in your sense of being? Whether it is meditation, maybe it's yoga, maybe it's journaling. For me, in my season of unraveling, I started doing these live Facebook talks every morning at my kitchen sink. And it became a daily ritual for me. And I think there was something about hearing myself speak life to other people made me also feel this sense of purpose. And so here I am 4 years later on this podcast, but truth be told, this started out as a daily ritual of me at my kitchen sink, taking collagen, talking about my lifestyle and my wellness routine to whoever would listen, and it becoming something that I really looked forward to every day. So create your daily rituals. And number 5, find your purpose. This is a big one. This is a heavy one. And we can go down a rabbit hole with this. It is the thing that I think freaks people out the most, like finding your purpose, because it feels like it's such a huge, big undertaking. But finding your purpose just simply means that the thing that you know that you couldn't not do, like it's the thing that in your life you must do, is part of that in the purpose discovery. For me, it was realizing that had I looked back at patterns in college, I would have seen a pattern of counseling people, of reaching to younger generations to talk through and to mentor them, to be someone that would motivate and inspire the people around them. Those were the patterns. Like, my life for me doesn't make sense if I'm not doing that in some form or capacity. When I was a lawyer, I would try to find ways to inspire and motivate clients, but that's kind of hard to do in litigation. But I could counsel and I could advise. And that is still what I do every day in my day job. It's what I do through my podcast and my coaching services. I love to help people become their best selves, whether that was you are a new lawyer and you're figuring it out and I'm able to help you do that, or if it was a client that I had while I was an attorney that was really struggling to understand their case, the merit of their case, anything that I could share to give them some more confidence in that space, I would do that. Fast forward, as an educator and an administrator, it is what I love doing every day with students and in my coaching practice, as well as this podcast. It's really motivating listeners and clients to look at their lives through a different lens. And I don't mean your own lens, but like through a different lens than you would have. We're at the eye doctor. Do you see this better or this better? A or B? B or C. Okay, we all know how frustrating that is. But we also know that when we see clearer, we go, that's it. That's the prescription. And I feel like that's my purpose, to help people with their prescription, the lens that they look at their life through. And so for you, it is simply taking enough time to sit and think through, what is it that I do every day that comes so naturally for me? Or the things that people say, oh, you are so good at that. Like, I could not do that without you. That usually gives us a hint about our purpose, right? It's the thing that actually does bring you joy. And when you are in the middle of your season of unraveling, when you become undone, your joy is going to be the compass to writing the next steps of your chapter. It's going to be the power that helps you to rewrite what comes next. Joy. Simple 3-letter word. But I promise you, to ground yourself in joy is like breathing air. You cannot live without it. And thankfully, it is there within us, regardless of what is happening to us outside of our own beings. And so I hope that that gives you some sense of encouragement, that you feel like you now have a tool in your toolkit to rewrite your story when certainty ends. Go to joy. Go to joy. I promise you that will help. So that's it for this episode. Thank you for tuning in. Be sure to subscribe. Tune in for next week. Every episode drops on Friday. I got a good one. I talked about air. That's a hint. What happens when we exhale? Okay, so tune into next week. Take care. Pick up that pen. Rewrite what is next. Thanks for tuning in.